Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. A real pleasure to have you here with us in London.
Thank you.
Maybe you can begin with an introduction to Supernature for people who haven't seen it yet. What can they expect going in?
I'm Ed, the director of Supernature, but it's made by a big team of people that we like to call Team Supernature. Supernature is a love letter to nature created on Super 8 by people connecting across the world. I was struck by a moment in a Super 8 nature film made by an 80-year-old French man that we screened in Cannes as part of the Straight 8 screenings that I've been doing for many years, short film contest on Super 8. By this moment where, in his wonderful film about nature, after a totally beguiling sequence of these beautiful pink flamingos on that contrasty, grainy footage, as it was ending and the music was doing its thing and this last flamingo was flying away in the sky and disappearing against the clouds, tiny, and into the grain, I got this kind of real pang in my heart, and I tried to interrogate it until I could understand what it was. And all I can say is, quite literally, that moment made me set off on a journey that's actually taken 5 years, and that culminated, or that brought us to last night when we had the world premiere in NFT1 of Supernature. I started asking people that I knew that had Super 8 cameras all over the world if they wanted to join me in an experiment to try and capture the wonder of nature on this 40 to 50-year-old format on 40 to 50-year-old cameras that often break down. And it became a real adventure. And in doing it, receiving their raw footage back, building it into an edit, which was more than a collection of short films, but an entire story, using all our voiceovers to stitch it together with music and sound design. I ended up learning more about the world than I knew when I started. So what started as a naive hunch that there's something about seeing more of nature on Super 8 has turned into kind of quite a spiritual journey.
And what is it about this format, the texture of it perhaps, or the tangibility of it that is so unique? And why would that be different than capturing it, on digital?
I mean, it's exactly that. It's the fragility of the format. It's the way it reeks of nostalgia, which is an emotion. Is nostalgia an emotion? It's a concept that is founded on love and loss, which are two hugely strong emotions, and good cinema pulls on your emotions, and that's what that moment was doing to me, and that's what I needed to explore. And so I used community to do that, and I used it to make a film without traveling too much. So when I say to people, it depends how I unpack the idea, but when I say to people, been making this film, all over the world with nature all over the world, and they're like, oh wow, and their eyes are lighting up, like imagining me flying to exotic places, and I didn't really go anywhere. I mean, I went to Cornwall and Norfolk from London, where I'm based. I did do a couple of short hops to sort of take cameras to people where I really wanted to teach them in person, and it was short haul. So to be really honest, I did take a couple of flights, but by and large, it was made without travel, and that enabled us to do it. And because the kit is smaller than the cameras that you use for like blue chip nature documentaries, I think the heaviest package that was sent anywhere in the world for this film weighed about 15 kilos, which is smaller than your average suitcase. And that was like sending, like some of the best Super 8 cameras and shit ton of film, and a lot of film. You can cut that either way. So yeah, there's the format. There's so many reasons why the format works differently. And then for the filmmakers, and myself as one of the filmmakers in the film, when you're in a natural environment and you're filming on an analog Super 8 camera that doesn't have playback, it doesn't have digital playback, it transforms your experience. You're looking through glass at old glass as well, that's been crafted by people. The carbon footprint of the manufacturer of the device you're using is in the past. It's not this disposable, I've got the latest this camera or that camera, which in 2 years is going to be obsolete. You're using something, you're bringing something to life. You're looking at a seal, or you're looking at a spider or a snail, eye to eye. And then you're not removing it away from your eye and looking at the screen and going back and thinking, have I got the shot? You're continuing to notice it, or you're noticing the light changing, and you're thinking, you're in the moment. So at every level, from capture through to exhibition, it's a transformative experience, and it's more natural. And the film is about us and our relationship to nature. So I won't go on all day because you don't have all day, but I could go on all day about And hopefully I won't need to and the audience will feel it, but about why it works. You'll see when you see it. Hopefully you'll agree.
Any drawbacks to the approach? Because I guess in some respects you had to kind of leave go a bit of control, because you're leaving each contributor to kind of capture whatever they want. And then also maybe sometimes the stuff you get back, is it not usable, or you end up with so much footage you don't want to know where to begin. So I guess while there are some amazing opportunities with it, there are also some drawbacks.
I mean, please use your voice in the edit, because literally what you just said was it. You know, you get the footage back and there's everything in there. I wasn't on the shoot, and it's like I had maybe an image of what we might. It was amazing. It was a joyous discovery. There were loads of bits that were unusable, but what I really started to find was what I originally thought was unusable was actually way more interesting to use in the edit than the sharpest stuff. So sometimes whole sections have bits that are compromised images because they speak to you on a less conscious level. The film, from the reactions I'm getting from last night, it's landing in a way that I couldn't have dreamed into people's unconscious. And I think a lot of that is down to that. And believe me, I would get footage back. Like sometimes we get 10, 11, 20 rolls back. Each roll's about 3 minutes from a scene in Kenya or a scene in Tasmania. And sometimes there'd be a whole roll that would come out black. But I'm such a geek. I was watching that roll of black for the dust and the grain and the little light leaks and the bits that I might be using in the edit. So in the edit, I had a bin called salt and pepper, which I would use for seasoning the edit. And so I was just loving everything that I got back.
In terms of the impact of the film, what is it, like perhaps an appreciation for nature, but which can be more important now than ever when we look at climate change and how we can feel disconnected? And has the impact surprised you? Have people's reactions surprised you?
Well, we will see. I mean, our ambition for this film is to my hope is that people will feel more connected, or they'll want to nourish that connection. And like any relationship, it takes work. And I think if anyone comes away from that film feeling like they want to nurture their own personal relationship with nature more, I'll be very happy.
Oh, beautifully put. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that with me.
Thank you.
Huge congrats on the movie. I really enjoyed presenting it in London. Thank you.